And now it's time for the lightning round with Brad Butt, the Vice President of Government and Stakeholder Relations for the Mississauga Board of Trade. Here we go, Brad.
Let's go.
Brad, the Mayor Crombie tried to use Section 22 to lock down large businesses at the region appeal. How did that go for her?
Well, she presented a motion at Regional Council. Council did not support that. What it would have done is place restrictions on what the so-called big box stores could and could not sell. She wanted Dr. Lowe, the Medical Officer of Health, to use Section 22 powers under the Health Protection and Promotion Act. And unfortunately, even though the spirit of what she was trying to do may have been fine, the execution and the unworkability of that ruled the day.
The feds are coming up with a economic update. There's all kinds of rumors about taxation and wanting to tax your house. What are you hearing?
Well, we're certainly going to see the largest deficit in Canadian history, close to $350 billion, I suspect Minister Freeland to announce. But what I'm hearing is they will announce plans for national pharmacare. They will announce plans for national childcare. There'll be a ton more money for pandemic relief, including targeted sectors like airlines and hospitality. So a ton more spending for sure, big deficits, and likely some other stuff that we'll have to see what happens Monday at 4 o'clock.
Brad, the federal government's taking a lot of heat over getting vaccines for Canada. What are you hearing on that front?
Well, the big argument now is whether or not the deals that the federal government signed would allow for some of these vaccines to actually be manufactured in Canada. Can they get the IP to Canadian-based companies? Groups like Innovative Medicines Canada have said there is the capacity within Canada to produce these vaccines. Or is Canada going to be behind other countries and people around the world that get vaccines before Canadians do? It's become a real political problem for the federal government.
On the subject of changing our clocks, as Kermit the Frog says, I'm not changing my clocks back. I don't need another hour of 2020. What's going on there? How is this going to work with others that are in our time zone?
Well, there was a private member's bill that was passed in the Ontario legislature unanimously last week, which now would get rid of the time change that we see twice a year. The provincial government, though, has said they will not proclaim the bill into law until such time as the province of Quebec and the state of New York also adopt the same to keep us geographically on the same page. But yeah, I think very soon it's going to come that we will no longer have clock changes twice a year.
And on the stormwater credit front, something that we've been very active on, they revamped some of the credit program, but not so much on the amount of money that businesses can get. What's the update?
Well, the 5-year review of the stormwater tax program brought in by the city of Mississauga, one of the very few jurisdictions in the Greater Toronto area that has such a tax on residents, but also on businesses predominantly. So reports going forward to council looking at some improvements and changes. Some of those are very good, things that we've called for a number of years that will be implemented, but the amount of the credit is still too low. It's not a great enough incentive to get businesses on board to do retrofits for stormwater, and we're going to be pushing for that.
The province Minister Sarkari wants to cap the fees on delivery services for food. How's he doing on that front?
Well, they tabled a bill last week at the provincial legislature that will bring in a cap on those fees that Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes and those folks are charging. They're trying to help out restaurants during a pandemic. So the fees will be capped at 15% net and 20% gross when some other items are marked up. Some organizations were charging as much as 30% plus. So this perhaps in the short term will help some of those restaurants on their takeout and delivery.
And that's it for the lightning round. Brad, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, David.